This section is a review of basic percent problems with a focus on how they can be used in business. First, just reviewing that a percent means per 100. The percent can be expressed in either decimal form or as a percentage. Read the question carefully. If you have an increase or a decrease, if there's a 20% increase, then overall you have 120% of what you originally had. So depending on the wording, you might want to use 120% if you're talking about the new total value, or you might want to just use the 20% if you're only talking about the increased portion. Similarly, a 10% decrease, if you're focusing on how much was discounted, then you would use 10%. If you're focusing on how much remains to be paid, you would need 90%, the 90% left over. The percent always has to correspond to the amount. So let's talk about the base and then we'll talk about the amount. The base is the original price. If you're looking at changes, the before value, the base is always 100%. And when we put it in English, it usually says percent of, and then the next value is the base. It's called the base because it's what the percent is based on. And it's also the basement of a fraction that's up here. When we do our equation, we're going to have a fraction on the right-hand side where the base goes down in the denominator. So it's always the denominator number. Then the amount is the value or the portion that's being compared to the base. Sometimes it's how much did a price increase? Sometimes it's, well, how much is this compared to last year? And it always corresponds to the percent. So the percent and the amount in this math have to be talking about the same part of the problem. So I put them both in blue. Okay, let's try to make some sense of all of this. Let's take our first problem. 36.8 is what percent of 46? So our first task is to figure out what the base is. So here I see percent of, and then the number following that means my base is 46. So in percent over 100, this is always a 100, is amount over base. Base will be 46. Okay, then, do we have the percent? No, that's what we're looking for, is what percent. So X goes in the percent spot. Then the amount has to be filled in, which is the 36.8. Now, the first thing we want to do is just kind of consider that 36.8 compared to 46, it's smaller. So I'm expecting a number less than 100%. Now that we've got the problem set up, I need to solve for X. If I times both sides by 100, that will cancel. Then I will have X is equal to 36.8 times 100 divided by 46, which I can do equals 36.8 times 100 divided by 46. 80. So 80%, which makes sense. 36.8 compared to 46. Sounds right. Price of an item last year was $2.25. This year the price increased to $2.63. Find the percent increase in the price. Okay, so we set up our two equal fractions. We're looking for the percent increase, so I'll put my X in the percent spot, which means I need the other values filled in. Okay, the base, it doesn't say, there is no percent of that we can look at, but it does say last year, there's the price. So the base is the before price, which will be $2.25. Then the other amount is $2.63. So that must be the amount. Then to solve, times by 100, times by 100, and to set up calculation. Okay, I get 117. So that would be 117%. But that means that $2.63 is 117% of last year's price. I'm going to try to draw a quick picture. Last year's price, this is the base, was $2.25. And then there was some kind of increase. And those two things together lead to a price of $2.63. So it increased to $2.63. So if I do the same thing in percentages, my before price is 100%. And then I added some amount of increase. And now what I know is that I have 117%. So obviously the part that was increased was only 17%. Looking for just the increase. So the wording is really critical, and that word to is very important. Next one. Today only an item is being sold at a 29% discount for $4,153.50. So let's set up our percent over 100 is equal to an amount over the base. What was the price yesterday? Okay, that's the before price, that's the base. That means that this X goes in the base position. Now I have a 29%, and then I have $4,153.50. But wait, there's a problem because this is the percent that the price was discounted. This is the percent that was paid. Those don't correspond to each other. If you work out the algebra on this, you'll be trying to figure out, you'll think that $4,000 is the amount of the discount off the original price. So we have to either, if you have a 20%, 29% discount, do you know how many dollars were discounted? Like, do you know that you paid $100 less than before, $150 less? So you don't know that either. So this won't work. I need to use the 4153.50. So I'm going to have to change the percentage. So 4153 is the dollars that were paid. So after the discount, that's the part I paid. Then over here, I need to know what percent was paid. Well, there used to be 100% of the price, but then 29% was discounted. That makes 71% that was paid. That's the equation. And nowhere in the problem does it say 71. You just have to think about what parts correlate to each other. Okay, now to solve it, I need to solve for this x. I'm going to do cross multiplying. So 71 times x would be the same as 100 times 4,153.50, and then divide by 71. And find that calculation. The price yesterday was $5,850. Okay, now I'm going to do a quick check. I'm going to take $5,850, and then here I want to take 29% of it. That's how much the discount was. So it was $1,697 less than before. So then the amount that would be paid would be the original amount, subtract what was discounted. There we go. With some rounding. So that all checks out. We'll do one more problem and then we'll leave the rest to the individual question videos. In its second year of operation, a local internet provider's profits were $178,500. If this amount was 656% of the company's first year profits, find the first year profits. Okay. Percent is equal to an amount over a base. For the base, it's the before price. And that's what we're trying to find, is find the first year profits. That puts X in this position. Always over 100 for a percent. This amount, this year's earnings, are 656% of the first year profits of the base. So 656 is the percent of the base, and that equals the 178,500. So to solve for x, we'll cross multiply. 656x is equal to 178,500 times 100, and then divide by 656. Last year's profits were $27,210.40. Okay, go ahead and start doing your homework problems. Read carefully, make sure that the percent and the amount are talking about the same part of the problem, and I will see you in the homework videos.